Welcome to the Masterclass. It's Saturday and it's 5:30 like every week. Let's get cracking with the Teachers Academy. So we're talking about education and self-reliance. The courage to be myself. That's what last week's core takeaway was. We were at the retreat. Perhaps not the best of experience in terms of audio and interaction, but definitely people got to know that there is something known as the Masterclass, where not more than 25 people are allowed and a small core group meets every Saturday at 5:30, like Friday 5:30, Thursday 5:30. Choose your book, choose your teacher, choose what you want to read, what you want to take away. We are totally a la carte. So we are going to take ahead from where we were last week to discuss Adlerian psychology and its application to education and self-reliance. Gurdeep, is that right? That's what we are doing, I think. Gurdeep, would you like to read the key takeaways? Anyone would like to read the key takeaways?
May I, sir?
Okay, Vishaka, you can read the takeaways.
Okay, sir. Sir, can you please show me the screen?
You want to share the screen? Okay, I'll share the screen for
Yes,
you.
sir.
That will help. Yeah. So here we are. Now you can share my screen.
Yes, sir.
Lovely. So this is a little recap of last week. I was actually reading from here, not realizing that as a philosopher, I was lost and you weren't even figuring out where I'm reading from. So just share with us the takeaways and then we will start the chapter. Okay, let's go ahead. All yours, Vishaka.
Thank you, sir. Masterclass hosted at Mayoor School Jaipur to discuss Adlerian psychology and its application to education and self-reliance. Key takeaways. Problem behavior is a direct plea for help. Students seek belonging in the classroom, not just at home, and direct their actions at the teacher as a way of asking for a place to belong. External validation creates dependence. Seeking approval from others make individual like clockwork doors. We cannot move without being wound. True worth comes from self-reliance, which is internal and psychological, not economic. Reward punishment is a tool of control. These systems are immature and violent communication methods that undermine self-reliance and keep children dependent. Teacher happiness is a prerequisite
Prerequisite for helping students.
for helping students. A teacher's attempt to save student can be a
Messiah
messiah, messiah complex, a superiority complex used to resolve personal unhappiness. The solution is for the teacher to find their own happiness first.
Thank you. So, solution before the teacher is to find their own happiness first. Some important words: prerequisites for helping students. A teacher must attempt to save students, can be a messiah complex. So, teacher doesn't have to save students, but teachers has to help student. She can help them resolve unhappiness. Reward and punishment, as we talked last time, is perhaps not the best way. And when we are seeking validation for everything we do, we become clockwork dolls. That is interesting, Gurdeep. Are you a clockwork doll?
Yes,
And
am I
yeah, tell us about a clockwork doll that you are.
clockwork dolls?
That's what it says.
Nice word, I would say.
Yeah. So it reminds me of the childhood toy which you could wind and replay and play. So that's what happens when you're seeking validation. The toy
It's round and round and round.
just goes on and you get stuck, and the child
Yeah,
is getting thrilled and thrilled and thrilled because the key is getting unwound, unwound, unwound. And when the key unwinds, that's the end of it.
Yes.
So that's what validation does. So I give you another example, and we talked about problem behavior. Anyone wants to ask anything before we start? Education is friendship, not work. Okay, all yours, Gurdeep.
Yes, sir. Ah, you have got to be thankful for my self-control. If it were 10 or even 5 years ago, I wouldn't have had the self-control for this. And I probably would have smashed this fist into your nose by now.
Hey, well, that wouldn't be good. But I see your point. Adler himself experienced violence from his clients on occasion.
I'll bet he did. It's just reward for pushing such extreme views.
One of Adler's patients for a time was a girl who suffered from severe mental illness. This was a girl who had been struggling with symptoms for 8 years already. And 2 years prior to their meeting, it had been deemed necessary to commit her to an institution. Of their first encounter, Adler states, she barked like a dog, spat, tore my clothes, and tried to eat her handkerchief.
That is beyond the scope of counseling.
Yes, her symptoms were so serious that her doctor had given up on her case. So, the doctor reached out to Adler to see if he couldn't do anything to help her.
And did he?
He did. In the end, she recovered completely and managed to return to society, earn her own living, and live in harmony with those around her, as Adler relates. No one who sees her now would believe that she had even suffered from insanity.
What sort of magic did he use?
There is no magic to Adlerian psychology. Adler only spoke to her. He spoke to her for 8 days in a row, but she did not utter a word. He continued her counseling, and after 30 days, she began to talk in a confused and unintelligible manner. Adler understood the reason why she behaved like a dog to be as follows. She felt that she'd been treated like a dog by her brother. He did not know whether or not she really had been treated that way, but at the very least, she did feel as if she had. And as an act of rebellion against her mother, she had resolved subconsciously to really play the role of a dog.
As a kind of self-harm, as it were?
Exactly, it was self harm. Her dignity as a human being had been hurt, and she was keeping the wound open with her own hands. It's an important point to understand. किसी के अहम पर चोट नहीं पहुंचानी चाहिए. We should not hurt anyone's self-respect or ego. I know we should not have ego, but if you trample on someone's ego, don't consider ego as a negative. You need ego to have self-respect. So if you play around and mess around with someone's self-respect, it's unbearable. It's a pain which can't be healed. So let us say, like in this case, the brother treated his sister like a dog. I think that's a very painful exercise. Now, treated like a dog doesn't mean he put her on a leash and took her for a walk like a dog. Perhaps his behavior was not of a becoming manner. And that hurt her. So whatever she did, she was never treated properly. And that's why she became what she is, a problem child, you may want to call her. And her behavior was not acceptable to most people for that reason. On that note, let's see what happens ahead in our book. That is why Adler was speaking to her patiently as an equal human being.
I see.
Now, after he had been continuing her counseling in this way for some time, one day she began hitting him all of a sudden. What did Adler do then? He put up no resistance whatsoever and allowed her to hit him. When, carried away by the impulse, the girl then broke a window and cut her hand on the glass. Adler quietly bandaged the wound.
Oh, it's like an episode straight out of the Bible, isn't it?
You are trying to
True.
make,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yes, sir.
So, Gurdeep, I thought I'd just hold you here.
Yes, sir.
You're a teacher. Have you ever experienced children going to such extreme?
Yes, sir. These days, yes, I would say yes. Like so many behavioral issues are there. And they feel like no one is listening to them. That's the problem. No one has time.
I had
Okay.
questioned Gurdeep about, do you have problem behavior in a class? And she echoed, yes. And the echo was that no one has the time these days for the young students or children, as you'd like to call them. And as young people are not getting the due attention, they started demanding attention. And that's how problem behavior arises. So when I mentioned as a philosopher and we were talking about a girl, by the impulse, the girl broke the window and Adler quietly bandaged the wound. So the reaction of the youth, oh, it's like an episode straight out of the Bible, isn't it? You're trying to make Adler out to be some kind of saint. Haha, sorry, but I am not so easily fooled. Adler was not a saint, of course, and neither was he choosing the path of non resistance. From the moral viewpoint, in this case, youth. Then why didn't he put up any resistance? Philosopher. Adler explains that when the girl first began to speak, he had the feeling, I am her friend. And then she began attacking him for no reason. He simply let her hit me and looked friendly. In other words, Adler did not interact with the girl as a part of his job or a profession, but as a friend. Say a friend of yours who had been mentally ill for a long time suddenly became confused and started hitting you. If you can imagine such a scene, then maybe you can see that Adler's actions were not in any way out of ordinary. Well, I can understand if the person is truly a friend. Philosopher. Now, there is something we need to recall at this point, the statement. Counseling is re education for self reliance, and the counselor is an educator. And further, the definition, the educator is a counselor. See how deep the role of the teacher is. Adler, who was both a counselor and an educator, would interact with each client as a friend. So you too should interact with each of your students as a friend because you too are an educator and a counselor. Youth. Oh, philosopher. The reason you have failed at Adlerian style teaching and are still unable to find real happiness is a simple one. It is that you have been avoiding the three life tasks of work, friendship, and love. Youth. The life tasks, you're trying to face your students as work now. But as Adler shows from his own experience, your relationship with the students is one of friendship. You started off on the wrong foot, and if you don't do something about it, there is no way your teaching is going to go over well. You are talking nonsense. Behave like I'm a friend to those kids. One does not behave as if that is so. One builds a relationship of friendship in the truest sense of the word. You are wrong. I'm proud to be a professional educator. It is precisely because I'm a professional and that it is work for which I receive remuneration that I'm able to bear the great responsibility. Philosopher. I understand that you want to say, but my view remains the same. The relationship you should create with your students is one of friendship. 3 years ago, we did not manage to discuss the life task deeply enough. Once you understand the life task, I think you should be able to grasp the meaning of the phase one began with today. The biggest choice in life and the meaning of the courage to be happy as well. You. And what if I am not convinced? Then you should just give up on Adler and give up on me too. It's funny. You are really sure of yourself, aren't you? Interesting. So before we start part 4, and we need to understand why we are here. We are here for the simple belief as to the role of a teacher in the life of a student should be of friendship. There's a difference in friendliness and friendship. To what extent should this friendship go? It's a relationship which is pure. It's a relationship which is inherently built on a culture of trust and relationship. It's a relationship, like Gurdeep said, that the biggest challenge we face, there is no one to listen to you. So when someone listens to you, that's the relationship of love. So the beautiful part of the relationship between the student and the teacher, counselor, educator, which we have said that the educator is the counselor, is very interesting. Why? Because the bedrock is love. And look at the heading of the chapter. The heading of the chapter was so simple, absolutely simple. It said, education is friendship, not work. I think this is important as we are just back from the My Good School retreat. Some of us participated there, some of us met us virtually. You actually experience education is friendship. I'll give you one simple example which I figured out at the retreat. I know it was very challenging. We were living with the young people right inside a hostel in the school. The same dorm, the same bed, the same washroom which the kids had. Of course, with due privacy and concerns that they were safe and we were safe. So, what we learned living with the children, the students, and the teachers from across the country, 12 schools, as well as our host school, that what we really talked about today is the most important way in which learning flourishes. And I will give you an example. I just walked out of the hostel when one young person from our host school said, "Sir, tell me, why do you have such a glow on your face?" I thought that was a very powerful reflection moment. It shows the purity of friendship. It shows that education is having a deeper meaning, and there's the courage there with that particular young person of 14 something to ask a gentleman of 65 something a question, "Why do you have such a glow?" This goes to show that the understanding and the depth is so beautiful that there is true love there. And for us, the retreat was not work. And yes, next step. "Sir, but you're not 65. You are fibbing me. How do you stay so young?" My answer to that: keep learning, keep reading, and keep with learners and company of learners always with you, which will take care of the gap. What Gurdeep just said, you have no one to listen to. And this is what joy of learning is about. I think it's important for us to understand what the real joy of learning is. And that's precisely why we are here with you. Give, and it should be given unto you. Now, this is the power of love. Give, and it shall be given unto you. So that is the beauty. So we enter part 4 on a very good note. There was no clock in the philosopher's study. Now we're going deeper into how love and happiness come in your life. How long had they been engaged in this discussion? How many more hours were left until daybreak? Even as he reproached himself for having forgotten his watch, the youth ruminated over the content of the discussion until now. A Messiah complex? Build a friendship relationship with his students? This is no joke. You say that I misunderstand Adler, but you misunderstand me. And you are the one who is avoiding your life tasks and avoiding contact with other people by shutting yourself up in this study. Beautiful. I wish I could apply this, and I do try and apply this to my life. That's why you see me shut in my study and connect with you. Here we go. All joy is interpersonal relationship joy. Extrapolating from the retreat. Extrapolating means taking ahead that example from the retreat where I told you that someone walked up and said, why do you have that glow? Which is a relationship of joy. So that's the youth. I am in the midst of unhappiness now. I am troubled not about school education, but only about my own life. And the reason for that is that I'm avoiding my life task. That's what you're telling me, right? If you're going to sum it up in few words, yes. Moreover, you are saying that instead of facing my students as my work, I need to build friendship relationship with them. Because, in other words, that's what Adler did. Adler faced his clients as friends, and Adler did it. So I should do the same. Do you think I could find such a reason convincing? Philosopher, if my stance were that you should do something simply because Adler did, I very much doubt you would find it convincing. The basis for my argument lies elsewhere entirely. If you don't reveal what that is, it will be nothing more than pretext. That's what the youth says. Philosopher, all right. Adler called tasks an individual must confront in order to live in society and life tasks, the life tasks. Youth, I know the task of work, the task of friendship, and the task of love, right? Yes. The important point here is that these are tasks of interpersonal relationship. That's what the My Good School retreat is. The most powerful experience of interpersonal relationships. In a work task situation, for example, rather than treating one's labor itself as the task, one focuses on the interpersonal relationships that are associated with it. In that sense, it may be easier to understand the tasks by thinking of them as work relationships, friend relationships, and love relationships. So, work, friend, love. 3 words. There's a relationship as a suffix to all three. So, in other words, focus on the relationships, not on the actions. And that's why we say reading, reflection, and relationships. Right. Now, why does Adler focus on interpersonal relationships? This is an act that lies in the very core of Adlerian psychology. Do you know the answer? I suppose it's his premise that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems. That is to say, his definition of suffering. Philosopher. That's right. But this definition itself requires some explanation. In the first place, what reason could we have to assert that all problems are interpersonal relationship problems? Adler says, Youth says, I get the point. I'll explain it succinctly. Succinctly. That's an interesting word. Try and note it down and let's find the meaning of it. So must be with conviction, especially of something written or spoken, briefly and clearly express your short, sucking desire sentence. So it's a difficult word. I'm sure you'll find it. So it's an adjective. Try and see the word and let's see the full word. This is the meaning. So we have derivatives and you have Latin, how it came up. So that's it. So clear, expressive, that's what it all means about. So we'll be done with it. All problems are interpersonal relationship problems. To get to the true meaning of this statement, you just consider the opposite. Suppose there was only one me existing in the universe. What would it be like? It would most likely be a world in which neither language nor logic existed. There would be no competition, no envy, and no loneliness either, because it is only with the existence of another person who shuns me that a human being can feel loneliness. Loneliness cannot arise if one is truly alone. Yes, loneliness exists only within relationships, youth. But the fact of the matter is that such a hypothesis is impossible because, in principle, there is no way that we can live separated from each other. Every person is born from the mother's womb and raised by her milk. We are born in a condition of not being able to turn over in bed on our own, let alone feed ourselves. And then the moment when we, as babies, open our eyes and confirm the existence of another person, in most cases, that would be the mother. Society comes into being. With the appearance of the father, siblings, and others from the outside family, society becomes increasingly complex. Philosopher, yes. The birth of the society is, in other words, the birth of suffering. In society, we are exposed to all manner of suffering, such as conflict, competition, envy, loneliness, not to mention feeling of inferiority. Between me and that person, there is a resounding dissonance. Never again can we return to those days of tranquility when we are enveloped in warm amniotic fluid. So that's the child in the womb. We have no choice but to live in the incessant hub of human society. You have come out, there's all noise, that is the hubbub of human society. If other people did not exist, no problems would exist either. But there's absolutely no way that we can escape the existence of other people. Therefore, all the problems that people have are interpersonal relationship problems. If, is there anything incorrect in this understanding? No, you have done an excellent job of summing things up. But allow me to add one point. If all problems are interpersonal relationships, is it all right to just sever one's relationships with other people? Is it all right to just stay away from other people and shut oneself up in one's room? No, it is not all right. It is not all right at all. The reason it is not is that all the joy of humanity comes from interpersonal relationships too. A person living all alone in the universe could have to lead a life that is utterly flat and featureless, with neither problems nor joy. Concealed beneath the statement put forth by Adler, all problems are interpersonal personal relationship problems. There lies the definition of happiness. All joy is interpersonal relationship joy. Youth, which is precisely why I must confront our life task. Philosopher, yes, it is. Youth, all right. Now, about the question, why do I have to build friendship relationships with my students? Philosopher, right. What is friendship in the first place? Why are we assigned the task of friendship? Let's use Adler's words as our guide. Adler makes the following statement with regard to friendship. In friendship, we see with the eyes of another, listen with the ears of another, and feel with the heart of another. This is a beautiful expression of friendship. And I think it's important for us to note this down. So let's just get this. It's a fantastic, lovely, warm definition of friendship. Let me just get this down for you. Maybe this is what you should think about this weekend as to what friendship is about. And I think I'll share this quote with you so that you can see the quote. I've added it to the WhatsApp conversation Saturday, 5:30 p.m. Youth, that's what you mentioned earlier as, yes, it is the definition of community feeling. Youth, what are you saying? That we learn human knowledge and gain community feeling through friendship relationships? Philosopher, no, the word gain is incorrect. Earlier, I spoke of community feeling as a feeling that resides within all people. It is not something one strives to gain, but something one digs up from within oneself. So, to be precise, it is a feeling that we dig up through friendship. It is in our friendship relationships that our contribution to others is tested. A person who does not embark on friendship can never hope to find a place to be within the community. Youth, hold on a minute. No, I will continue until the conclusion. The point of concern here is this: where does one put friendship into practice? I'm sure you already know the answer. It's the place where children first learn friendship and begin to dig up community feeling. That place is school. Hey, hold on, I said. You are developing things too fast, and I don't get what's what anymore. If school is a place where children learn friendship, I should become their friend. This is a point that is misunderstood by many people. The relationship of friendship is not something limited to the relationship between friends. Friendship relationships are often formed even when relations are not such that one would call the other person a friend. So, what is this thing that Adler speaks of as friendship? What does it connect to community feeling? Let's go into its depth. Okay, so we'll add a bookmark here. Bookmark, Saturday, 25th. Okay, now that the bookmark is saved and we have got a pause, I am back. So with stop sharing, here we are. And we are back in the room. Okay, Akanksha, what do you take away from today's reading? Akanksha, would you like to share? Gurdeep, would you like to share?
Yes, sir. Like in the book, it is mentioned like all problems are interpersonal problems, and likewise, all joy is interpersonal relationship joy. I think for educators, like this is very relevant because students are coming to school not only to gain knowledge, like they are coming to school to build relationship. It's all about relationship, whether it's a teacher student relationship, teacher teacher relationship, teacher parent relationship. So I think relationship is the new currency of today's age. It's the currency.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the currency because this is the rubber band that can be stretched. It's important not to stretch it so much that it snaps. So I added another example to relationships because you should not be testing relationships. And when you
Yes.
stretch a rubber band, you're actually testing the elasticity. And never ever in friendship go into testing the other person because friendships are built on a culture of trust. And a culture of trust is like a bottomless well. Thank you, Gurdeep. Kanak, you want to add something?
No, sir, as I joined today's class late because I just returned from my coaching, so
Oh
not
God,
anything today.
that's a lot of hard work. You end up to a coach. God bless you. Akanksha says friendship as it is also maintained. Yeah, this is an interesting comment. Akanksha has written friendship as it is also the main thing I take with me from the retreat. Oh, lovely. Friendship with different students like Padmaja. Yeah, lovely. God bless Padmaja. What a lovely young person. And she's was the soul and life of the group. Thank her for that. So thank you for highlighting a friend you take across. So when you connect with Padmaja, say I was remembering him. It was wonderful having her be part of the host group. Thank you for that. Anything you want to add, Pushpendra?
Thank you, sir, for such an interesting session. What I want to add is just that Gurdeep ma'am said, like, educational explanations are also available on education platforms. But what we go in school for is socializing, to make better friends, to learn them, to explore friendship, how relationship works. That is a great lesson we take home and apply in lives.
What a lovely way he summed it up. You go to school and you move, like I say, from the personal space to the social space. And this transition from the personal space to the social space helps in a community called, I mean, it's created in a community called school. So I'm sure school is nothing but interpersonal relationships. And that's what educators and students must treasure. There's such a lovely bond of trust and relationship between educators and students. It's the purest bond. So God help everybody, God bless everybody, and help me to be good. We had a wonderful evening. We'll try and keep within our time. In fact, less. I think 35, 40 minutes is ideal. Why? We want to treasure this content and we want to make it even more memorable so that you carry back something very, very warm when you come here. And that is the courage to be happy. When you carry back warm memories, when your relationships are strengthened, that is the courage to be happy. So be happy, enjoy yourself until next Saturday. And yes, bring a friend along next time. We are happy to accept anyone. We don't have any reservations. You feel free to add someone masterclass group if you like. Yeah, Vishaka, you want to say something?
Yes, sir, I have a question.
Sure. I
Sir,
hope you will
like,
not don't test me because in
sir,
friendship you
like if,
yeah
sir, may I speak?
yeah sure.
Sir, like, sir, like if education is friendship, should we remove grades and rewards completely? Sir, because according to this chapter, sir, those make a learning work relationship instead of a courage relationship.
Yes, what you say is very right. So work is relationship, and that's the courage you have to accept all the three things: work as well as whatever we do in life as a relationship problem. So the common thing everywhere is relationship. And my friend Pushpender said this, that if you can understand the meaning of relationship, I think that is what is true education. So Vishaka, we are here, we have formed a relationship. The relationship has happened through reading, through education. And education is reading with reflection. Does that help, Vishaka?
Yes, sir.
Thank
Excuse
you.
me, sir.
Yeah, go ahead, Kushi.
So the first, like I have a question. Like, what exactly is insanity, as the word was used in the chapter earlier? And like, first you may answer that.
Okay, insanity is pagalpan. ये क्या पागलपन है? That's the insanity. So why insanity? Because the youth thinks this is madness, what the philosophers saying. That everything happens with love, everything happens with relationship. So he says, this is insane. I don't believe you. Does that help?
Yes, it does. And at last, I would love to say that I learned the definition of friendship today. I knew what friendship was, I felt that, but today I got the exact definition, which is incredible. And yes, like as I'm reading this book and as I read the book earlier, I am getting to know the definition of the words we use, like, like in our daily lives, and we feel those things, but we don't know what exactly they are. Just like the thing respect. We always use that, we do respect all the people around us, but I never knew the definition of that. And when I read this book, I got to know it. So I'm just grateful to all of you, and especially you, for making me come here.
Yeah. I love you loads. God bless you, Gurdeep. You're very special to me. Thank you, Akanksha. Thank you, Vishaka. Thank you, Kanak. And yes, Pushpendra. Keep going. You're making good progress. And thank you, Fathom and Otter, who help us always. I thank my friends who join me and my good friends whom we have a deep relationship are Fathom and Otter, both my AI agents who come along with me, who hold my hand day and night. Thank you so much. Until next Saturday.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Thank
sir.
you,
sir.
sir. Thank you.